Let's go.
Episode 47. We like to welcome y'all to Keep It Thorough Thursdays. This episode, we're going to be talking about the downfalls of ego, which I think is a very important topic. I think all of us have ego at one point or another. Some people are worse than others. And through our research for this episode, I actually learned that ego affects you in a couple different ways. Hey, how's it going, Miss Kim? So ego, a lot of times we think about, the big-headed, overconfident, type of individuals, but that's only one side of ego. There's actually two sides that we learned about. So we're going to touch on those. But without further ado, man, it's your boy E-Double.
What's up, good people? Cedric Lavelle, and I am excited to be back on the live, man. Episode 47, continuing to make progress, continuing to be consistent, delivering different types of content, helping you master the mental game of business, health, and money. This one's certainly going to be a good episode, a lot of good talking points, a lot of new knowledge that Eric and I both learned. So yeah, man, let's hop into the content.
Hey, bet. So team of me, right? Ego and everybody else. So I guess give us a breakdown, Sid. So like, what is ego, man?
Right. So we're dealing with the ego. One of my initial impressions when I just kind of went off of the word ego and what I've experienced and seen, some of the characteristics that came to mind were things like, arrogance or self-entitled, self-important, conceited, things to that degree.
Yeah.
And then what I also ended up starting to do is like think of different people that I've seen in maybe like the public eye.
That
like,
kind of fits that. Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh man, that might be his ego. You know what I'm saying? And just kind of, really trying to get a descriptive idea of what ego looks like. But like you were saying earlier, man, like there's so many different layers and size to the ego, and a lot of times it comes to perspective. But like I was also saying too, one of the words that I continue to read and see was
that boy
excessive.
Zay in here. What's good with you, Zay? Hey, my boy Zay actually just dropped his debut album.
Okay, congratulations, man.
I'm drawing a blank on the title, man. He's dope though. But what's good, Zay?
No doubt. But yeah,
Undeniable.
Okay, look, now you redeemed yourself.
Right.
You would have been a bad friend, bro, if you didn't remember. Nah, for sure.
I'm good. Bro.
But no, man, it was just excessive. You know what I'm saying? And so with understanding that, what I figured out and what I saw was basically how the ego has a high sense of self-importance and is fueled by an extreme presence of vanity. You know what I'm saying? Just that supreme pridefulness and wanting to be the center of attention. You know what I'm saying? Wanting the eyes to be on you for various different reasons. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at it in a professional setting, how you may always try to take credit for certain things and you ain't put no work in. You know what I'm saying? Or how you just have just a excessive or heightened sense of self-value to where the opinions of others or even somebody giving you some sort of constructive criticism, you don't value those things. You know what I'm saying? And so it gives you more of like a me versus everybody else. Like it's about me. If no one else aligns with my thoughts and the way that I move, or if no one else is adding the value to me that I feel is most appropriate, then I don't want to be in that environment, or I don't feel like they're even on my level. You know what I'm saying?
And your mom hit the nail on the head though. Self-righteous, right?
Right.
Just thinking you just better than, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what it all boils.
It's always everybody else. It ain't never you.
Everybody else. Exactly, man.
They ain't on your level. They can't. You know what I mean? How could it be me? You know what I
mean? But the most important thing with that too, though, is there's pride before the fall. You know what I'm saying? And if getting so caught up in pridefulness, eventually you fall. You know what I'm saying? Because people begin to read through that. And then as we kind of progress through the live, man, you see how it'll affect relationships. It'll affect your work life. It'll affect your marriages. It'll affect the connections that you can make. And, you know, with pride, you can look at it in so many different ways, but there's an obvious distinction between being overboard and obsessive with, you know, self-approval and self-worth, but having a sense of pride. You know what I'm saying? It's more than one way that you can look at it.
Which goes to the point that we talked about before we hopped on, right? Confident, like if ego was at the top of the ladder, right, or at the top of the steps, right? Like confidence is a step on that ladder, right? Like you just don't want to go too high. You don't want to go too overboard, right?
To start seeming like cockiness.
Exactly. Which like you had mentioned, it gets to the point where too much of it, right? Like too much of something, like when you're going overboard, right? Obsessive, I think was the word you actually used, right? So it's like you want to be confident, you want to be sure of yourself, you want to be, you know, those things, but to a limit. You know what I mean? Like you should, even if you're very confident and sure of yourself, you still should be open to feedback. You still should be open to criticism. You still should be wanting to learn, right? Like you're not always right. You don't always have the answer. Nobody always has the answer.
There it is.
But yeah.
And then one thing, I can't remember where I saw this at, and I'm not even going to try to quote it because I can't remember the quote, but basically it was saying how
just paraphrase, you good.
When yeah, exactly. So when it comes to cockiness and confidence, with confidence, you don't have to speak about it. Other people will speak that for you. With cockiness, you always have to express it. You know, how good you are or how better you are and all these other things. But when you're confident, you just perform, right? Like you just go and you just do the work. You do what's necessary and you let the results speak for themselves, right?
That just made me think of literally a situation I dealt with at work, right? Where there's an account executive. I'm not going to get into the deep roles because that doesn't really matter, but the account executive on some accounts that I'm on, like likes bragging to the account team about how he gets all these people promoted, right? Yeah. And one of my coworkers was like, he's always talking about how he gets all of these people promoted, but he's like, why does he keep doing that, right? Like, if he was really so good and like, you know, got all of these people promoted, then he wouldn't even need to talk about it. Like the other people would talk about it and speak on it on his behalf. And like, he wouldn't even really care because that's just who he is. That's just what he does. You know what I mean? So he wouldn't feel the need to brag about it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So like, that was a good example to
same exact thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So three things that you want to know when it comes to ego. One, ego is getting more over giving more, right? And so you always want to get opposed to giving, right? Like you're never willing to share. You're never willing to give information, insight, ideas. You're never willing to help. It's always about what I can get in the situation. How can you bring value to me and me only?
Always want to leg up. You know what I mean?
Want to leg up. Right. And never trying to keep things on an even playing field. Even when you're collaborating with someone, you want to still feel like you have the upper hand in a situation, right? And so ego is getting more over giving more, right? And then the next one is ego is taking advantage of others over being of assistance, right? And so in any type of situation, if you're always trying to get the leg up, if you always want to take advantage of the situation and never really try to process or see things through or even be fair in a situation, right? It leads to your ego consuming you. And as a result of that, you become disconnected. You're unable to be of assistance to someone else. You're unable to help them in a time of need. You're unable to be someone that they can lean on because you're always looking to take advantage of a situation opposed to offering assistance to someone when it may be needed. And then the last one is ego is prioritizing personal thoughts over considering other potential perspectives. And just like E kind of alluded to when we were discussing this, right? Like it's always about your thoughts. No one's thoughts ever comes into play when it comes to the ego. It's about your perspective. It's about your ideas, what you think, how you feel, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether you're thinking from a superior standpoint or even like we learned from an inferior standpoint. It's all about your thoughts, right? And there's never room for others' perspectives to really engage you or for you to indulge in to kind of have a broader or better understanding, right? And then that also just leads into limiting your growth, limiting your progress, limiting opportunities because you're not getting the full angle of a situation, right? Like if it comes to business and you're trying to learn something about business, but you wanted to do it your way, but you have someone who's offering valuable insight and valuable perspectives, right? And I can kind of just make it really personal. You know, like me and E, we talk about stuff all the time. Neither one of our egos are ever in the way. You know what I'm saying? If he has some constructive criticism or if he has something that he can offer me to better my situation, I take that, I run with it, I dissect it, and I apply it, and vice versa, right? And anytime your ego gets in the way, you always miss out on building something that could be the best.
Well, and being better.
Right,
You know
and
what I'm
being
saying?
better.
Like you missing out on improving yourself because again, like nobody's perfect. Nobody's, gets it right all the time. There's always opportunity and room for improvement. So
And
definitely.
ego, too much of an ego will disconnect you from the growth that you can have. So definitely, man, ego can cause many limitations. You know what I'm saying?
No, 1,000%, man. 1,000%. All right, y'all. So moving on, right? So like say ego, if ego was a house or a building, right? What we just did and what Sid just did was showed y'all like we pulled up to the building, right? And we just looked at it. We kind of explained to you the neighborhood and all that. Now we about to go in the
Go
building.
into it. Yeah, I like that for sure.
So the expense reports, right? So 5 areas of life where your ego could cost you. So first and foremost, ego can affect your life by causing you to make judgments. And what do I mean by that? Well, our egos are always keen to defend us and define us, right? They make a lot of judgments. So like your ego decides what's good and what's bad.
Hey,
Like,
that was a bar, bro. Defend and define. I like that. Let me go write that in my
yeah,
notes.
right. Defend and define us, right? So like, it makes a lot of judgments, and your ego decides, what's good and what's bad. So now you may have all of these, preconceived thoughts and about people and never really giving them a chance or having your opinion on what you think they should be doing or just various different things. And those judgments, right, can have a negative effect on you because you're not just taking things as they are. You're not just living and giving people a chance. You're not working with people. You know what I mean? You think you know best and I don't like that. I don't like him. I don't like her. I don't do that. I don't want to, because you think you're better, right?
Right.
So making judgments is one area where it can affect your life. Second is ego can disrupt relationships by always making comparisons. Now, the ego likes to rate everything, right?
Right.
Um, and then it has to like fit on a scale, and like nothing, strokes a big-headed person's ego more than making a comparison and being bigger than somebody or being better than somebody. Like that strokes their ego. Like, oh, I'm better than you. You're terrible, and those type of comparisons are terrible, right? Because at the end of the day, just because you may be good at something else doesn't mean that the other individual isn't better at you than something else. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
Or the life. First off, life isn't a race, right? Or a sprint. It's a marathon, right? And just because you're at a particular place right now doesn't mean that you're going to always be at that place, right? And that this other person won't surpass you eventually.
Right.
You know what I mean? So making those type of comparisons and thinking you're better than and not dealing with people because you think they're not on your level and all that type of stuff can have a very negative effect on you. And then now once that person does surpass you, they're not even going to want to deal with you. You know what I mean? Like, cause you didn't create a positive vibe, a good energy, you weren't welcoming, you know what I mean? So, next is now this is where it kind of shakes up a bit, right? Because Like when I think about ego, you know, and said mentioned in the opening, when he thinks about ego, we always thought about like big headed, like self-righteous, like you know, like thinking you're better than people, right? And not necessarily the opposite end of this spectrum, right? So ego doesn't just align with those who think they're better, but when you feel inferior, right, that's also your ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like so it's not just a problem for big-headed and arrogant people. You know, it's also, you know, your ego makes comparisons to other individuals, right? And now your ego, you know, makes you feel that you should be up to this level or you should be, you know, at this point. And when you're not, that makes you feel inferior. That
Period.
makes you
Yeah.
feel less than and has a negative effect on you. And that's still actually your ego, which I didn't know that. I wouldn't have classified that as ego. But when you think about it, it makes sense because there's two sides to everything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about ego, we talk about the big headed, self righteous, the beat your chest type guy. But then there's also another side to that, which you know
Yeah.
can make you feel inferior. And obviously, feeling inferior is a recipe for disaster because you lack confidence, right? You don't want to do certain things because you don't think you're good enough. Like, and that just leads to a whole nother can of worms. You know what I mean?
Right. Which can definitely not be the truth. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
no, no,
You
exactly.
know.
Exactly. So you may be more than enough. You may be,
Yeah.
you know, more than capable, but
More than capable.
you've told yourself because of your ego and this standard that you have that you're not good enough.
That you're not good enough. You never gave yourself the opportunity to grow or the room to kind of expand your thought process and your intellect and your capabilities. Yeah. So that makes
Exactly.
sense.
That's good that you said that though too, like that. But you are good enough, right? Like
Right.
pointed that out, like yeah, because that definitely is a problem where people get in their own way. And then next step is ego can create challenges by making everything about you. And said was talking about this in the other one in the first segment where you know you just make everything about you, right? You're not hanging out with certain people, you're not doing certain things. You know, you just you know, people, you know, I don't know, just whatever's going on, you find a way to make it about you. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, you know, somebody just lost weight and you know was doing something and you know and
You know, I lost
you
weight just about a week
right,
ago.
right,
I was
right.
weighing about 250. I'm about
Yeah, right.
240 now.
Oh, that ain't nothing. I did this. You know what I mean? Oh, that ain't
Yeah.
this. I did that. You know what I mean? Like always just making it about you. And obviously that's going to create problems for you because people aren't going to want to deal with you. People don't like to
Exactly.
deal with people that are like that. You know what I'm saying? So you know, it's gonna limit your ability to network and work with people and limit your opportunities because people aren't just gonna want to deal with you. People don't like being around those type of individuals. And then last but not least on the list is ego can ruin your life by driving you too hard, right? And now this is something that I think I can actually relate to a little bit. And I actually said that. And right, life is all about balance, right? And not being obsessive. And I don't feel like I push myself too hard to the point where it's obsessive. But I think to a certain extent, sometimes I might be borderline, right? And basically what this is, you know, your ego can set expectation, right? We talked about judgments and how we make judgments and what's okay and what's not okay. And everybody deals with this, just about how you balance it, which
Right.
makes it whether it's bad and you're over the top versus, you know, you got a good balance. But, you know, your ego can make you, you know, feel like you should be at this level and you should be doing this and, you know, meeting these expectations. And to the same point, how it can make you feel inferior, it can also make you feel like not necessarily inferior, but I'm not where I want to be. So like I
Right.
need to keep pushing. I need to keep going. I need to keep pushing. And then you're not making time for other things that are important. You know what I mean? You're not making time for you know, family or whatever. You're always chasing success. You're always chasing the money. You're always chasing the next opportunity. You know, when you don't take time to really kind of chill. And so that's how, you know,
You know,
pushing you too hard.
something that came to mind when you were just talking about that was when it comes to marriage, right? And a lot of times you hear more so with women than men, but like when you get to a certain age, it's like, oh, I'm about to turn 30. I need to be married. I need to have these kids. I need to have this. I need to have that. You know what I'm saying? And you got this checklist of certain things that needed to have been done or have to be done, or you feel like it's just the end of the world, that you have no hope or no opportunity. You know what I'm saying? To find love 3 or 4 years later, right? You just have this checkpoint and this ideal age and time where it's like all this has to be done at this time. right? It's almost like you're trying to force it to happen, opposed to allowing something to just happen kind of organically.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then I can't remember the episode where we talked about this, but you know, making, which I think we talked about this in a few different episodes, but the importance of making time for yourself, you know,
Yeah.
and being able to like recalibrate and like reset, you know, and like when we talk about driving yourself too hard, that's when the ego gets in your way. Like, no, I got to do this. It's my responsibility. Like I have to, like I can't take a break. Like you know, pushing yourself too hard, going too hard. Because at the end of the day, we all have a breaking point. We all have a breaking point, and you do not want to reach that breaking point. You need to give yourself a break. You need to relax. You need to recalibrate. You need to gas back up. You know, get your sleep, get your rest, and then go attack it again. And not only that, you're gonna be more efficient when you do that, right?
Absolutely.
Because now you had time to sit. You had time to let your mind rest. I can't tell you how many times I've been working on like a hard, you know, like software development type problem, and I can't figure the shit out for the life of me. And then like I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna leave it alone. Go to sleep, sleep on it, wake up the next morning and attack it, and I figure it out like that. I'm on a fresh brain. You know, I've had time to kind of relax. You know, you're fresh. You went through some things, and you know what I mean. You figure it out. So very important. You know, push yourself for sure. Don't get this confused. Don't think we're not saying don't drive yourself hard and you know try to achieve goals. But there's a limit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
be smart about it.
A limit. Be smart about it. All right. So what's the impact, right? So an ego that is never checked can become a problem that you pay the price for. Choosing a course that enlarges the idea of self contributes to inviting an even larger amount of problems. So I'll use Kanye as an example.
Oh, man.
I think a lot of stuff that goes on with Kanye is because of ego, right? And I don't think he has anyone around him. And obviously his mother was that person. I think it's very, very apparent that his mother was that person that he would listen to and who could ground him. And she passed away, right? And I don't know Kanye personally, but I've watched, you know, documentaries and seen various different things. And it seemed like she controlled him to a certain, well, not control him, but he respected her opinion, right? And that's the situation where the ego hasn't been checked, right? And now it's just running rampant. You know what I'm saying? It's just doing, you know, he think he's God. He tell you he's God. You know what I'm saying? He just the way he carries himself. I'm a genius, self-proclaimed genius. You know what I'm saying? Like, just that's ego. You know, like to the fullest extent. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't disagree with everything the man says. The man makes some valid points. What I disagree with a lot of what he says, most of what he says, and I definitely disagree with his approach. Because you shouldn't have to down talk others, which again goes to ego, right? You shouldn't have to down talk others to big yourself up, right? You shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to stand on your own merits and your own success, your own accomplishments, and all those things, and stand up and feel good about yourself versus needing to make someone else feel less than to make you feel better, right? But yeah, so that pretty much. And do checks, right? You know, because I had to, you know, like when we were going through this and I was reading these and I was telling Sid, like, damn, like I kind of resonate with a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me kind of reevaluate. You know what I mean? So you know, it's important to do that. You know, and like really look at yourself in the mirror and see where you can, you know, improve it and check that ego because very, 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 very important. Very important. But cool. Let's move on to the next segment. So the end of ego, right? The advantages of moving past the I, right? So I'm gonna let you take the first two segments, and I'm gonna take the last one. And we go ahead and close this thing out.
Absolutely. So first one, you can see healthier relationships grow with the people around you. So when you're moving past the I, the self, the idea of everything being about me. When you move past that, when you get out of that immature phase, right, and you become a more mature individual as it relates to how you engage and how you interact with people, now you can grow with people around you. Now you can build strengthened relationships with other individuals because they see that you're an individual or that you're someone that can really be of value, right? Like you're finally taking off the costume or the distraction of ego, and people can really see you for not necessarily who you are, but your most authentic self. Someone who may have been, you know, may have been maybe hurt in the past, or and they use their ego to kind of disguise certain things, or someone who may have had certain traumas in the past that they had to deal with, and they use their ego to kind of just be a barrier, right? But once you get rid of all of that and you make the progress to move your life forward, now you can build those healthy relationships and grow with the people around you, because you don't have those things restricting you.
Yeah, you become more vulnerable, and in that
Right. That's a
vulnerability,
good word.
you become
more
more
vulnerable.
relatable. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And then people can work with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And grow with you. To your point.
Absolutely, bro. You become more vulnerable. I don't even know if I'm
You
saying that
said it
right.
right. You know,
Vulnerable.
there's
You
some
know what I'm
certain
saying?
words, bro. Because
Certain
I be
words, they just
mumbling
come off
over it,
from
man.
the
It'd
V
be crazy.
word. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
People
yeah,
like, man.
vulnerable. Yeah.
The next one, you can see progress being made because of your openness to collaborate, right? And you can actually kind of look at this in like a work environment as well, too. You know, and I hear about people, you know, who have this real ego trip, or this kind of personality to where no one wants to work with them, because every time that they're working with them, it's like, you know, I got to hear about you doing this, you got to hear about you doing that, you're talking about this and this, that, and the other.
Antonio.
Yeah. Hey, on and on and on and
Hey,
on.
and if you see this, Antonio, no disrespect, bro, but you know how you is, boy. You a lot to handle.
Little guy, a lot to handle, man.
Yeah.
Nah, man. But what ends up happening when when it's like that is, you know, you get to a point where, or people get to a point where it's like, man, I can't work with this individual. I can't be around this guy or the girl or whoever it may be. Like I can't be managed by you because we're not making any type of progress. You're not adding any value to this situation. All you do is try to take the credit for everything. You don't listen. You don't allow other people to have an opinion. When it comes to the hiring process, you're not looking to get valuable feedback so we can make the best decision. You know, and that's ego, right? You want to have your hand in everything. If you don't touch it, then it can't be done. You know what I'm saying? If a task gets complete, you want to make certain they say, okay, well, yeah, I went and I checked this, that, and the other just to make sure it's right. You know what I'm saying? Just to kind of have your say so in a certain situation.
Put your fingerprints on it. Just
right,
put your
put your
hands on it.
fingerprints on that. You know what I'm saying? It was like, bro, you ain't done nothing.
Yeah.
Like you didn't add any value to this. You didn't do any work. All you did was, you know, cross the T's and dot the I's. Like that does nothing. You know what I'm saying? And so when you get past that, right? And a lot of times that comes through people who are vulnerable, who are willing to listen, who are willing to be coachable, who are willing to change and make adjustments whenever they're needed and necessary, who are willing to really just, you know, be more mature and have have growth, right? And when you get to that point and you're able to be someone who becomes more relatable, now you can collaborate with other people and start seeing progress and seeing results, because now you're open to conversation, you're open to feedback, you're open to, you know, doing for others opposed to having them always do for you. And when that happens, then you can see everybody kind of collectively start to move forward and make progress together through collaboration, because your ego is not in the way.
Well, it's perfect segue into the next one, right? Which is, you can see wasted time being restored by moving in a more purposeful direction, right?
Yeah.
So once you're able to be more open and more collaborative and more vulnerable and all of those things, then you become more enjoyable to be around and to work with and to partner with, right? And more people want to be around you, and those type of relationships and that type of energy creates more productivity, right? And then hopefully whatever you're working on and whatever you're doing, whatever your business is, it aligns with your purpose, right? Which, you know, you're moving in the right direction, in the correct direction, right? Because when the ego is there, you're probably gonna feel like there's roadblocks and not 100% know why, right? Like, why does such and such never get back to me? Why does such and such never, you know, reach out to me when they got something going on? You know, why does you just always, because it's because of your ego, right? Nobody wants to
Right.
deal with you.
Nobody wants to deal with you.
So
You keep running to these different challenges.
yeah, so once you remove that and you get that out the way, then you see that, that wasted time, or that time sitting around wondering why, that's productive time now. You're actually doing things, you're getting things done, you're collaborating, and you're moving in a purposeful direction, right? And then the last one is you can see acceptance become a norm because people will invite your company, which I kind of just talked to this, right? Like you're just more enjoyable to be around. Like I think everyone enjoys being around people who are positive, who are accepting, who are honest,
right?
Who are open, vulnerable, who yeah, all of those things.
All those things.
Those are
Every
just good
synonym you can think
traits
of.
that people like and like being around, right?
Yeah.
Now, a person with ego may not like a person like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're gonna find something wrong with them. They're gonna
Right.
find an issue.
You too nice.
Yeah, right. You too nice. You always this. You always that. Like you don't know what you're talking.
You can't be that. You can't be that positive all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so your company becomes something that people embrace, something that they want, something that they seek, right?
Right.
Like, and then if you provide a particular service or you're really good at something, then people are going to continuously call on you. They're going to call on you to do whatever it is you're good at because you're enjoyable to work with, right? Which leads to additional opportunities. I can't tell you through business and word of mouth and networking how many opportunities and doors have, well, even this, me working with Said, right? Like we worked together. Energy was good. We was open. We talked about it a lot. Reached out to him because I knew he was really good at copy, right? Or writing and verbiage and marketing, all those various things. So I reached out to him. And then it's crazy what that relationship has blossomed to, right? And then there's just various different situations that I can point to where
I'm not crying
working with
about what
somebody.
you did. I'm wiping my eye out. Just want you to know.
It's cool. You can shed a tear, man. It's okay for us to cry, man. Just don't do it all the time. Everything in moderation.
Yeah, everything in moderation.
But yeah, but basically that kind of sums that up. So Seth, if you want to go ahead and hit us with the final thought, bro.
A final thought. All right. So being self-absorbed will keep you from experiencing growth and being enlightened. Only taking an interest in your own thoughts and ideas leaves you at a disadvantage as you become an easy target for criticism, right? By putting an end to your ego, you can move beyond the barriers of individualism and toward the advantage of shared interests, right? And so one of the key things on that is the disadvantages as you become a target for criticism. And this kind of just about what we was talking about with moving past the eye, right? Everybody sees your ego when it gets put on display, and everybody's going to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's going to have something to say about what you're doing, how you're responding, how you're interacting with others, the culture that you're creating, the environment that you're creating, making it be uncomfortable, making it be something that's very unfulfilling, that's not fun to be around. And you don't want that, right? Like, and I'm the type of person, I take pride in the energy that I give off and how I connect with other people. And I always pray and ask God to make certain that I'm in my right mind when I'm interacting with people and we're connecting, because I never want to get in a situation where I'm not at my best and someone needed me in that moment, right? If I'm not listening and I'm not being an active listener and hearing what the individual is saying, because I'm, feeling like this conversation is worthless or feeling as if they don't give enough value to a certain situation, whatever the case may be, like that puts me at a disadvantage, but I also miss an opportunity of being impactful for somebody else as well too. You know what I'm saying? And so we just always got to be mindful of how we're carrying ourselves, what we're doing, the conversations that we're having with other people, just the progress
And
that
the energy we're putting out there, man.
and the energy we're putting out there, right? And absolutely, you know what I'm saying? And just really focus on the idea of shared interests, being willing to invite people who are worthy of it, right? I'm saying that again, who are worthy of it, because everybody don't deserve your good energy. Everybody don't deserve, you know, for you to be in their presence. But the people who are worthy of being around you and engaging with you, you know, offer them insight, right? Be open to constructive feedback. You know, be open to collaborating and sharing ideas and moving forward and growing, right? Because you can't learn from just focusing on yourself, right? Like you can't
You
learn.
can't, yeah, exactly. You can't learn from yourself.
You can't learn from yourself. Now
You
you
know what I
can be a
mean?
self.
Like,
You can be a self learner and go look
yeah,
up
well,
things,
you can
but
be
you're
self-taught where you go seek information, but you
correct.
still got to get it from an external source, like it's coming from
Exactly.
somewhere else. You can't teach yourself from
Teach yourself.
yourself. You
Right.
know, yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
No.
It even sounds weird when you say it, because it's like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. Like you gotta go to some sort of external source in order to get what you need
And
to become the person that you need to
that
be.
person was nice enough, or what's the word I'm looking for, was, you know, vulnerable enough or open enough to share that
Yeah,
information
with
for
you.
you to
Right.
even go get it and read
Right.
it and
Whether it's
consume
from
it
a
so
book or
that you
whether
know
it's
about
from
it.
a visual, auditory, you know, read, whatever the case may be, somebody shared that information with you, just like you said, right? So, man, you just got to be open to learning and interacting with people, and just embracing the idea of shared interests and collaborative growth, because it makes a world of a difference. That's it.
1,000%, man. Um, so, hey, as always, we greatly appreciate everybody who joined the live and watched us live, and everybody who goes back and watch the episode. We greatly appreciate y'all as well. We got some merch coming real soon. It's in production. Um, I had about, production was like 20 some days as of about a week ago, week and a half ago. So we're gonna have some dope stuff in the next couple of weeks. As always, be sure to click the link in the bio. There's a couple kits that are not on the website, but I will be getting those updated within the next day or so. So this kit will be up within the next day or so. And then, as always, you can check all of our old lives on the Instagram page. And if there's ever any topics that y'all would like for us to discuss, please feel free to shoot us a message. Drop them in the chat, because we're always open. And then, I don't even know if I should make this announcement because I ain't talked to Seth about it, but I'm gonna go ahead and make the announcement anyway.
Go ahead. I don't know what you're gonna say. Go ahead and say it. I want to know
Well,
too.
so we coming up on a year, right? Once we get to week 52, episode 52, that's gonna be a year that we've been doing this, and we on what, 47, right? So we got 5 more episodes, and we at 52. So, and then we're gonna start season 2. So we wrapping up season 1. The way we doing our seasons is a full calendar year, right?
Yeah.
So for season 2, we're about to change some things, make some changes, and we'll be actually bringing guests on, right? So we're going to be reaching out to some individuals that are good in particular areas, focus areas, solution areas, or whatever the case may be, business owners, and bringing them on and having topics and conversations around what they got going on. So we're very excited about that. And again, as anything that we do it's vetted out, it's thought out, it's planned. So this ain't something that we like, oh, let's just throw a guest on. Like, no,
Right.
we care about this platform. We care about the
Absolutely.
information we're sharing with y'all. We care about the quality of the information. So yeah. So be on the lookout for that. But with all that said, if you don't
The
do nothing else,
website dropping soon too.
oh,
I
the
know you
website
say
too.
that.
Yeah, the
I
website's
will.
dropping too. So, like, as the merch drops, and we go into season 2, and the website, and there's a lot of pieces that align with that. But Keep It Thorough is a full on brand. This isn't just and we don't even really define this as a podcast right now. You know what I mean? This is lives. You know what I mean? That's how we really define it. We may evolve to a podcast eventually where we're recording and they're on Apple Music and Amazon and all that when you download podcasts. But as of right now, we look at these as just lives, conversations, keeping it thorough. That's what we're doing. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
everybody get a front row seat to what we're doing and
this
what
is
we're
stuff that
doing.
me and Stan talk about all the time. You know what I mean? These are conversations that we had, and we wanted to bring them out, right? I think we're we do a lot of research. You know what I mean? We're not experts at anything because I don't believe in the word experts, but we know a lot about certain areas and things that we know a lot about. We go research, right? Like the comments that we made about ego. We always thought ego were, you know, for big-headed individuals and that type of person. And not realizing that ego also affects and make you feel like inferior and things like that. That's not something that we knew until we started doing research and really looking at this and really seeing the both sides of the coin, you know, when it comes to that. But yeah, and we enjoy that. We like learning. You know what I mean? When we learn new information, we'd be excited to hop on the phone or hop on a call and talk about it, you know. So and then we share the information with y'all though. But yeah, with all that said, you know what I'm saying? We appreciate y'all, can't say it enough. And if you don't do nothing else, keep it thorough. We'll holler at y'all next week. Deuces.
No doubt.